We're here, we're going, we're live, back once again. As always, joined by my very good friends, Stevie and Ian, Posh Scotch.
Hello.
And the Dram Pirate. And today,
Ahoy.
we are actually, ahoy, sir. Today, we're actually jumping into one of the original Whiskey Baron's brands. So for me, setting up the Whiskey Baron, people now call me the Whiskey Baron, which is a huge compliment because really it's guys like Johnnie Walker and I think his grandson, Alexander Walker, who really kind of kicked this brand into overdrive. And still now, hundreds of years later, it is probably one of the, if not the biggest global brands in whiskey.
Yep. 100%.
One of the most recognizable brands from their iconic square bottles, their unique slanted labels. It's phenomenal. It's such a cool brand. It really has such a vast range. We talk about entry-level whiskeys. We talk about really specialist, occasion whiskeys. Kind of has something for everyone in there. And today we're going to jump in and give a bunch of them a try.
Mate, you didn't get the memo though. You got black label, green label. What's this? Grey label?
It's actually it's a light blue, but yeah,
what?
No. It is a light blue, but it's not quite the vintage sort of royal blue from the blue label. So apologies, guys, I didn't get the note. But that doesn't mean that I can't enjoy some good whiskeys. We've got 7 of these wonderful drams here. I don't even know how many whiskeys are there in the Johnnie Walker line?
Oh, hundreds. We've basically got most of the core range here, but you've then got the Ghost and Rares.
Yes.
There's a bunch of travel exclusive bottles as well.
Right.
There's various special editions of the black label that come out. Again, some of them travel retail. And then there's some super high-end premium stuff as well. You've got so above the blue label, you've got the XR21, the King George.
Yeah. King George as well, yes.
And the John Walker.
Haven't tried that one.
I have actually tried the John Walker.
What sort of money is that going for?
About $2,000 a bottle.
Okay, it's not cheap.
And then there's some stuff that goes higher end than that too.
Wow. Okay, cool.
I believe there is like a £20,000 or £30,000 bottle of Johnnie Walker out there.
Tried that.
I have not. John Walker is as high end as I've gone, I'm afraid.
Fair enough. We need to get someone from Diageo in to share some of those truly unique Johnnie Walkers with us. But I think we've got a wonderful little display, as you say, of their core range. We haven't bothered with the red label. And I think it's fair to say, Stevie, have you tried the red label many times?
Yeah.
You don't sound happy about it. You've tried it and it is not for you.
Here, right?
For sure. Look, I think we can all agree, as I was just about to say, I know I've talked to you about it before, and I'm not surprised by your recoiling response there, Stevie. The red label really is kind of cheap, what I would describe as pish and vinegar. It's not pleasant. It does not hit the mark for me in any way, shape or form. And this is an amazing brand, so we don't want to kick off with a doozy, a wrong un.
I said to you like off camera, right? If you can't afford the extra £2 or £3 it costs to go from red to black, then get something else.
This is it. Yeah, look, we talk about that all the time, that jump from the kind of little entry-level expressions, whether it's non-age statement or the Glenfiddich 12 to the 15 or whatever it may be. Sometimes just having that little look around, spending that little bit more money, and maybe £3 or £5 or even up to £10 more, but the value that you're getting from that sort of slightly higher end proposition is just so much more worthwhile to experience. So yeah, for us, we're going to say don't bother with the red label, but if you've tried it and you particularly like it, please drop it in the comments as to why you think it's so good and what the fuck we're missing, really, How do you want to do this, guys? I feel like part of me wants to start at the top end and work down so that we can truly appreciate the flavors. But then, I don't know, maybe we should start at the bottom end and work up. What do we think?
I guess we normally start at the bottom and work our way up, so we could flip it. Why not?
Why not? All right, let's do the blue label. The blue label that we've got here is a bit more of a vintage bottle. I'm not entirely sure how vintage it is. I think it's a 90s bottle. It came in a really beautiful old school case with like the sort of velvet cushioning and everything. Really lovely display. What do you think, Ian? Is it 90s? Am I about right, maybe? Hopefully?
Yeah.
Not completely.
So I think it is 90s looking at it. My understanding is when Blue Label was first launched, it was actually called Johnnie Label Oldest.
Right.
So there are a few of those still flying around that tend to command the most money.
Sure. Yeah.
It then went, I think there was a crossover with Blue Label and Oldest where it said it was a blend of whiskey aged between 15 and 60 years old.
Okay.
And then the kind of legislation changed a little bit. They're not allowed to say stuff like that anymore.
Right.
And so it kind of then went to this messaging at some point, kind of early to mid 90s, stayed like this for about probably 8 to 10 years before it kind of went more into the current style
For sure.
of bottle. So I would say this is probably mid 90s.
Cool. Yeah, sounds about right. That's what I thought as well. Cool. I love personally, I love Johnnie Walker Blue Label as a product visually, in your glass. It's great. I have to say the slightly older school style bottles really do sing to me. And I love that you've already started thinking that, because that's one of the things I love most about the Johnnie Walker Blue Label. It makes absolutely feck all difference to the dram in your glass, but there is something about that tiny detail. Sorry, cheers, Ian. That little swinging pendant with the JW on it, and I think the more modern ones now have the little, the keep walking Johnnie Walker, the little man on it. I don't know what it is about that. It just makes it feel that much more special. It makes no difference to the whiskey. It's such a minor detail. I just think it's really beautiful. And it does. It separates that whiskey apart from everything else in the range and most other whiskeys on the shelves, to be honest. A wonderful place to start, Sláinte lads. Blue Label is obviously it's quite highly revered. It's seen as the height of Scotch whiskey, particularly for those who don't know anything about Scotch whiskey, I would say, right?
I think it's big in America. You see it in a lot of TV shows where there's a high-end Scotch, right?
Yes. Yeah. It's that mark of absolute quality, I think, hence Blue Label, right? The color has always been associated with quality.
But it's interesting. I think there are certain communities, certain types of people that kind of, seem to, really go for it. So I believe in the UK, I've been told that 50% of all Blue Label bottles that get sold are for Hindu weddings.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Fascinating.
It is. It's really interesting. And again, I think something that we've discussed before, why is that not included in their marketing? I don't know much about the Hindu culture, but certainly with Indian weddings, I don't know if you've ever been to it. It's incredible. They know how to put on a fucking party, right? They really know how to do it. It's days long, and there's big ceremonies for the entrance of the bride and the groom, and it's awesome. And I think that there is huge potential there to create a seriously fucking cool advert. And I would jump straight into that then, that would draw me in so much more. Something that, I think they're maybe missing from their advertising.
Yeah, it's funny. It's obviously big in the Far East. There's so many Blue Label special editions. That's the other thing that you see, right? So many different types of the packaging now. So there's always a Chinese New Year.
Yes. Yeah.
They're doing this Sissies of the Future range now. There've been kind of various different collaborations with artists and other things for kind of individual airports and kind of boutiques around the world as well. And I think that's the other thing that you see about Blue Label. It's nowadays, as much as anything else, a collectible.
Right. I couldn't agree more. I think when I bought this, it was kind of presented really nicely on my shelves for a year or two before I even cracked it. It's a really nice part of a collection. It's a wonderful thing to display. And I think when you finally do break it out and smack it down there on the table, whether it is a completely new drinker who just recognizes it as a mark of quality, or whether it's, with some absolute maniacs like us who are thoroughly involved and enjoy our whiskeys of all sorts, it's still like, oh, well, that's going to be fucking good. It's nice to go back to the old Bluey. It's a really great dram to share with people. What do we think? I have to say one thing straight off the bat, and I haven't drank Blue Label in quite a while now.
And this has actually been open because I remember we actually filmed a very old content with it. I'm going to say 3-4 years at least that's been opened.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You're probably right.
Yeah. It tastes. It's so great. It's so. Blue Label is so soft and delicate, but also there's just a lot of depth in those sweet notes for me. But yeah, that it's just so. It is just so soft for me.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. One of the things that's quite surprising me straight away off the nose is it's kind of got that musty dunnaginess to it.
Yeah. And I think compared to a modern Blue Label, this one is slightly less peaty as well. The smoke here is almost non-existent. There's a kind of light earthiness to it, just a kind of a touch of kind of coal dust or coal gas or something on the finish.
Yes,
to go with it.
Yes, definitely.
It's as Stevie said, it's soft, it's mellow, it's well-rounded, it's very easy drinking, but has complexity to it as well.
Huge complexity and intricacies. Like you say, I like the way you've put that all together there, but it's delicate. All of these little elements woven together in such a beautiful way. Softness, absolutely.
It's almost like the flavors just, are just dancing around. You know? It's not there's no punch. You're not really trying to search for anything. It's just there.
You're not being assaulted. Yeah, no, it's just it's all over your senses. Yeah.
What I like is that there's little elements of Diageo distilleries you can pull out of this.
Yeah.
But they all sing together nicely in harmony. Like at the start, there's just a kind of little lemony sharpness to it, but it's sweet as well. So it's more of a kind of maybe lemon meringue or something. Then
lemon curdiness.
Yeah. Then I'm kind of getting a little bit of that kind of peachy stone fruity note that we were talking about with the Glenalgans on previous episode. On the finish, I said there's just that hint of kind of peat that you might get from a Cleela or something, and then there's also kind of a richness that and a kind of bold, like worm tubby boldness that you kind of get throughout the kind of middle palate. That you've got Glenalgan, you've got Mortlach.
It's so interesting that you say that. It's something that I was going to come on to, and I'm glad you brought it up. What I love about particularly Diageo blends, and particularly Johnnie Walker as their kind of, staple blend, their crown jewel blend, is being able to challenge myself. Now that we're in the industry and we're lucky enough to own casks from Diageo, of Glenelgin, of Linkwood, of Mortlach, of all these different amazing distilleries. Whereas when I first started drinking, private school boy that I am, Johnnie Walker was one that I often went to because I thought, this is fucking cool. This will make me look good. Yeah. Now I go to it for exactly that reason, to stretch myself, to go, what am I getting here? And I couldn't agree more. One of the things that I think is so prevalent in a lot of Johnnie Walker, certainly the ones that I really enjoy, like the Blue Label, is that top level blending malt. And to me, that's Linkwood standing out really wonderfully. We tried the Gordon and MacPhail episode. We had the distillery label 15, didn't we?
Yeah.
And it's that quality of malt just kind of sewing everything together. Do you know what I mean? Because like you say, there is quite a few intricate pieces there, but I feel like it's, and I could be completely wrong, but I like to say with some level of confidence that there's a decent bit of Linkwood in here. And I feel that is the element that ties it all in,
Talking of elements of Johnnie Walker, what is it? There's like something like 29.
I think it depends. It depends on the releases.
Oh, it does. Okay.
Yeah, they never
up
disclose.
to 29 has been the most, I believe.
So
is that right? Yeah.
There have been various
to choose from. Yeah.
So there's been various past labels that have dropped hints. It is never ever.
No. Yeah.
So
they haven't put out the recipe.
No.
Yeah.
The secret sauce.
And people hear hints and bits and bobs. My understanding is if you go and do the tour at Royal Lochnagar, for example, which is Diageo's smallest distillery, they will sit and tell you that the majority of the stock is held back, aged and reserved for Blue Label.
Well, okay, for Blue Label. I was going to say I learned a similar thing about Cleela. 90% of their stock goes to Johnnie Walker. So there are huge portions of these distillery stocks going.
But the
to this
Kalida
range,
will
you
be
know.
spread throughout and is kind of the smoky element, particularly when we
correct,
come onto the
yeah.
black, the double black.
And the green.
And the green as well, correct, yeah. But is that, sorry, so the Royal Lochnagar is mainly held for the blue, you said?
Yeah.
That's really, I've never visited, and that's really interesting. Fascinating. In fact, whilst we're on the subject of the blue label, we did an amazing episode with Rebecca Jago. Guys, if you haven't watched that, you're missing out entirely. Check it out in the description below. It was her father, Tom Jago, who was, I believe, heading up the team, certainly a key member of the team, who brought Blue Label to the market. So, you know, for me, I know I said to you guys at the time how excited I was to meet Rebecca, and then she came in and she shared some truly magnificent, not only whiskeys, but ports and all different sorts of 100-plus-year-old shit that we'll never try again, right? It was amazing.
Yeah.
And she's such an incredible person, and it was so wonderful to meet her and learn about her story and about The Last Drop, which is the company that, she joined.
That Tom founded, and
that she joined into with
Correct,
her father, which is amazing. But, you know, the fact that we know her, we're kind of once removed from Tom Jago. I know, unfortunately, he passed away, but, you know, I feel like we're walking in the footsteps of the giants behind us. And like I say, for me, setting up the Whiskey Baron brand and learning about all these incredible, you know, about the Whiskey Barons, about Alexander Walker, about his grandfather, great-grandfather, Johnnie Walker, who owned grocers in Kilmarnock. I now live in Ayr. It's just around the corner. I sometimes just drive into Kilmarnock and drive around just to get a feel, you know, see if I can, you know, get his spirit imparted onto me, you know, help me on my whiskey journey. And I do think that, you know, the Johnnie Walker brand is such a poignant and valuable part of the whiskey industry as a whole. You know, it really does have such a special place. And I'm so glad that Diageo have been able not only to hold true to what they originally did, but also, as you say, grow on that with the Ghost and Rare, you know, closed distillery expressions, where you get to explore a little bit more with all these cool different releases.
Those are really good. They come in seriously fancy packaging.
Yeah, it is very cool. You know, you're buying something special there, don't you?
They are slightly higher ABVs as well.
Whereabouts do they sit?
The first edition, the Brewer, is 46, maybe 46 point something.
I think I've only tried the Port Ellen one.
Port Ellen, and then onwards to
48?
43.8.
Oh, it's 40. Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm misremembering that entirely. Right, okay.
Yeah, I have all of the Ghost and Rares.
Do you?
At home. Yeah.
Not cracked.
I actually ended up with 2 bottles of the Port Ellen and have polished that off already. Otherwise, I would have bought it.
Sorry, do the Ghost and Rares denote what's in them, or just on note?
Yes, they tell you the distilleries. They don't give you, again, any indication of age or breakdown.
Right, yeah. But they do list all of what's in it.
Yes,
Just,
yes, they've
how
had
much of.
yeah. Generally, what they've done with those is I think they've used 8 or 9 distilleries, and you know, taken the spirit from them. They've normally actually had you know, a couple of closed distilleries in at least. So most, if not all of them, have had either Castbridge and or Cambus in there for the grain proportion. And obviously the most recent one has also been Port Dundas, which is another closed grain distillery.
Yeah.
Right.
Brewer and Port Ellen obviously coming back to life as well, though.
Well, I mean,
Big ups.
has
Very,
been for a
very
while, right?
exciting.
Brewer is distilling. Port Ellen.
Port Ellen. Yeah,
It's
been on the
in-
cards for
yeah.
what, 5 years now.
Yeah.
Patience, my son, patience. We'll get there. But no, I know what you mean. It's exciting.
Come on.
Yeah, I know exactly. I'm not gonna open.
Talking of coming on, shall we
Yes.
move on to the 18? You guys haven't had this before, right?
Once, but
Once,
yeah,
right.
Haven't had
I
the
think it
18
was
before.
after many whiskeys. I cannot tell you anything about what it tastes like.
The range has expanded kind of significantly over the years. So when the gold label first launched, that actually had an 18-year-old age statement to it.
Right. Yeah.
Because basically there was only red and black at the time, and then blue. And then the 18, the gold, came along to kind of bridge the gap between them. And then someone went, we don't have enough whiskies in our lineup. We need more.
Right.
And so the platinum label.
Well
came
done,
along.
whoever that was.
And so then the platinum inherited the 18-year-old age statement.
Yes.
And then someone came along at some point and went, we don't have enough whiskies in our lineup.
Hurrah!
And so the 18 came about.
Lovely.
And then the platinum inherited a non-age statement, and the gold continued along with its non-age statement as well. So
Sure.
This is effectively the third whiskey in the last 30 years to earn an 18-year-old age statement from
That's very cool. I didn't know
Johnnie
I didn't know
Walker.
that, you know. That's very
Yeah, I've had an old 18-year-old gold label before, actually.
And I mean, having tried this and the old one, significant differences?
Do you know what? Actually, I wasn't. Normally old Johnnie Walker I actually really love. I bought a bunch of old black label from the kind of 60s and 70s before, which has been superb.
Sensational, yeah.
Even old red label from the 60s and before is
palatable.
No, it's very
It's good. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, the gold label didn't massively do it for me.
Right.
That kind of first edition
That's interesting.
one.
That's interesting.
Whereas this, I think, is, for what it's trying to do and the price,
Right.
I'm not entirely sure what the current price is. Stevie, maybe you can do me a favor and look it up. When I bought this, I think I paid like £58 for it.
Wow. For 18 year old,
Yeah.
I mean, people are always blended, but 18 years old is still 18 years old, right?
Yeah, I think it's probably more expensive than that now, but it's still in the realm
I
of
remember
18-year-old whiskey.
I remember seeing it in and around £90. I thought 80, £90. That's where I thought it sat.
We are anywhere between 70 and 90 pounds.
Okay.
70, and given
Given the market, 70 is very good, I would say.
Yeah.
For an
I mean,
For something
18-year-old.
so consistent. right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what you're going to get.
Exactly.
At least you know, if you haven't had it before, you know you're going to get something good.
there are a lot of people who are, charging. Well, I mean, there's some 18-year-olds that are £300 right nowadays. Dalmore, Macallan. There are plenty that are 150 plus, and the vast majority are
It'll be at least 100.
at least 100,
for sure.
if not 120.
Yeah.
There's not much out there less than 120 nowadays.
Who is the master blender? Is it the lady Emma Walker, or is it still the?
So there's
the guy's
there's
name?
Emma Walker,
Yeah.
there's Maureen Robinson, Jim Beveridge has
Beveridge.
recently retired.
He was the master blender.
He was the master blender.
So Emma Walker now is, or is she a distiller?
I'm
Some
not
of
100% sure.
Because I remember Jim. Well, he's been there since I've ever known, obviously, which isn't very long.
Yes.
So
This is quite yummy. It's a little bit more tart on the back end.
Yeah. For me, the 18, I'd be surprised if there was much peated stock in here.
That's
at
what I
all.
was just about to say. It's a bit tart on the back end, and I know you said there wasn't a huge amount of peat in that. There's not much peat going at all.
Less,
at all.
I think, than this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that not a drop. Certainly no more than a drop or two of lager or anything, because has graced this.
Definitely.
Jim has obviously left, and Emma Walker is the
Emma Walker, isn't it? Okay.
master blender. Yeah.
So I know, I'm sure everyone at home knows a good bit about Johnnie Walker. At the beginning, I mentioned, the square bottles and the labels. I think they date back to about, it's a date in my mind of 1860. It could be to do with something else with Johnnie Walker. It's definitely a Johnnie Walker date, though. I think the bottles came about in 1860 and the labels not long after.
Yeah, you need to get yourself down to the to Princess Street
I
and
know.
go on the tour.
I still haven't been. Very excited to go. It looks incredible. And if you guys at home have been to the Princess Street tour, please drop a comment and let us know what you think. Is it worthwhile? I've been buzzing since I heard
Great
about
place.
it.
Haven't done the tour. Shop, the bars,
Really
everything.
beautiful.
and they look after you there as well.
The
right?
bar
Really
is
do.
the bar is beautiful. Stevie and I went there for a dram in the summer, and it's amazing. We were very
Sensational.
well looked after. I did the tour the year before with a friend of mine when we were in Edinburgh. It's a little bit like a kind of Disney ride for whiskey geeks. There's actors, there's lots of light and sound involved. It's very, very different to your traditional whiskey tour when you do the kind of flavor experience.
And that's what we want, right? Let's bring some new drinkers into the category. That's what these sorts of blended whiskeys do, welcoming people in. So I think that from everything I've heard about it, it sounds spot on.
Going back to the square bottles, though, it was all down to just practicality of shipping, wasn't it? Just
exactly that.
Fit more in a box.
Fitting more into the hull of a ship with fewer breakages. That was the idea. Right. It was maximizing exports. And actually...
It's become an iconic...
And hasn't changed since. It is noticeable. If you took all of the labels and all of the branding off, you would know that's Johnnie Walker. Nobody else has bottles like it. I'm sure it's trademarked or whatever. They are the only ones. But equally, the slanted labels, something that interested me, and like I say, set up the business and was looking into all the whiskey barons. And the reason for the slanted label is because it is more legible from a distance. So even back in the 1800s, these guys, the whiskey barons, and like I say, I believe it was Alexander Walker who was kind of a key component in getting the square bottles and driving the brand forward. He was years ahead of his time.
Well out of the box,
Completely out of the box, Stevie, exactly.
Yeah.
And really challenging the norms of... how are we going to sell this? How are we going to get people to recognize our brand? And just down to, like I say, even the kind of the mentality of, I wouldn't think slanting something up makes it more legible, but they've done tests and it like from it's
that's really cool. I didn't know that.
It's really
I honestly thought the slanting label was just a kind of a slap. Slap it on kind of look.
It has been every element of this brand has been.
I imagine at the time as well, people would have thought something was wrong as well with that because it's, as you say, it's a design well ahead of its time in design wise. They've thought about that, and people would have probably been like, they've gone on wrong. They've gone on wonky.
Well, the celebration that we'll come to next, I think, is designed to look like the original, and actually, white label is the original Johnnie Walker.
Right. Yep.
As and when they come up on auction, they go for huge amounts of money because white label, I think, was discontinued in about the 1920s or certainly by the early 30s.
There's still some knocking about.
Who knows what problems is.
God knows what it tastes like.
But
Black rod.
Because it's... As Jake said, I think it's Alexander that really was responsible for doing a lot of the kind of first kind of professional blending. So my understanding from when doing the tour is that, John Walker, he's got a shop in Kilmarnock. He's buying whiskey from the distilleries and, similar either to Springbank or even, less technological than that. You've got demijohns or barrels of whiskey lying around. People go... I'd like some whiskey, and you
fill your own bottle
from a demijohn or a barrel, and off you go. And then there are people that are like, oh, I like a bit of this, but I like a bit of that, and John's kind of doing a bit of effectively home blending for people to try and meet their personal tastes and offer good customer service.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, honestly, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Can you imagine that being now?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you
a personal blended bottle.
I think trying to figure out the duty would have HMRC blowing their fucking trying to blend all these little whisky. Well, how strong is that one? And how fucking strong is that one? Yeah, no, don't think that would work.
Yeah. Then it's only really when kind of Alexander comes along that he's like, oh, well, people have gone off and John's made him this, and then they come back and gone, can I have it again?
It doesn't remember.
And they've told it's their mates.
Right, yeah.
And they've gone, can I have this as well? So he starts going, well, I should probably start making batches of this for people.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
It's a really cool story. And guys, really cool. For anyone who doesn't know about Johnnie Walker's history, like we say, visit Princes Street, dive in online. There's so much to find out. It really is a truly incredible brand. Was it at the turn of the century when they flipped because it was just keep walking or keep on walking, and they flipped the way that Johnnie Walker is walking?
Yes.
I think that was one of the things as well, which was kind of a key part of their marketing. Like I say, I think it was at the turn of the century. You know what? I'm not entirely sure. I think it was just kind of down to putting a new stamp on it. The other thing that they did...
Left to right makes more sense as well, doesn't it, I guess? But you know,
I don't know.
Because we read left to right, I don't know.
I don't know, yeah. But the other thing that they did, which didn't seem to go down as well, certainly not from what I've seen about it, is they released a Jane Walker edition.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys have tried that.
No, I've seen it.
Obviously, Jane Walker, I think what they were trying to do was welcome women into the category. And fair play to them, happy days. It seemed to have a bit of a lashback as to like, well, why can't women drink this? And of course, women can drink this, you know. I think it was an interesting one. I think that they were, you know, trying their best to just be inclusive. But I think it's interesting how a brand that's been around for so long, it's not easy to make changes, to create a brand that is so long lasting and still relevant now over 200 years later. And what was interesting about the Jane Walker thing for me was it was like they were almost trying to become, you know, relevant in the new millennia. And it's like people didn't want it. Really bizarre. It kind of, it surprised me in all honesty. I thought it would go down really, really well. But yeah, seemed to be a bit more of a lash.
I guess like we talked about many other brands, like people don't like change when it's their favorite go-to, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think Johnnie Walker, really, they haven't changed much, really, at all. Because, you know, it's not broke. Don't fix it. And that's a classic example. I mean, these still look like beautiful classic labels, which they are, right?
Yeah.
I mean, nothing has really changed.
You know, things have been added. It's been evolution rather than revolution.
I think. Small.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. There has been evolution, slowly.
Things have been added to the lineup, like we talked about. Obviously, Double Black is relatively new as well. Things have been renamed as well. So actually, it says it on the back of the box you've got over here. The Gold Label Reserve is the Celebration blend. The Reserve part of Gold Label never used to appear. It was Gold Label the Celebration blend.
Right, okay.
When Green Label launched, I believe it was called Johnnie Walker Pure Malt.
Was that not originally just travel or something, or am I or is that Green Isle or Green Island?
Green Island is the travel one,
right?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's what I'm.
So when it launched, it was pure malt. But obviously, again, SWA, you're not allowed to call anything pure malt anymore for blended malt.
Right, of course. That's so interesting, isn't it?
But it was pure malt with a green label, right? So what are you going to rename it to? Green Label.
Interesting.
You know, you've got Black Label, you've got Red Label, Gold Label, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it fits into the lineup beautifully, doesn't it? So, yeah.
But that's the interesting thing. Why didn't they call it Green Label to start with?
To start with, yeah. For sure.
In fact, I don't know if it ever got brought to market, but didn't they come up with a recyclable cardboard bottle? Do you remember?
Yes, they did.
Yeah. Did that ever come to market? Or
yes.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it either. I think maybe it was an American exclusive to begin with, and they were thinking about rolling it out. But yes, I remember when that happened. It was very green. It was just before COVID, wasn't it? It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't even 10 years ago. I think
it was around that
5
time.
or so years ago.
Yeah, no, not even, maybe 4. Again, that's quite a big change, really.
That's a massive change, particularly
and there was a lot of uproar of like the taste. How dare you store it in cardboard?
Yeah, and this is the thing. Like for long-term maturation, I mean, this is the thing.
Well, it was only for their black
label, yeah. And look, if you're going to have it on your shelves for a few months, that's grand. But even still, I know people that would buy a bottle of whiskey, not whiskey drinkers. They'll have it once a year or whatever.
Oh.
You don't want your whiskey lying in cardboard, do you? So I think it was an interesting choice. Again, they have made a few interesting choices that haven't quite stuck.
I'm pretty sure someone will have done their homework with that. It's not going to get soggy. The cardboard's not going to get into the whiskey.
No. I don't trust the homework that they have done. It just doesn't sound right to me. I've never held one of the bottles. I'm sure you're absolutely right. I'm sure Diageo isn't going to invest all of this.
But I think flavour...
I think flavour, you're right. I'm sorry. When I heard it, my immediate thought was, that's going to taste like soggy, wet cardboard. Like, I don't want that. Like, it's cool. I wanted to buy it from the novelty point of view. I wanted to see if I could crumple it in my hands.
In fact, it almost looked like one of those sort of milk carton type things. Yeah, and it had like a screw top on the flat bit. Yeah.
What do we think of the 18 then?
I like it. I do. I like I say, it's kind of yeah.
Again, I'm getting a floral.
Yeah, floral, fruity, bit more vibrant than the blue.
There's no smoke in this at all, really. Like, yeah, I'm not really getting that side of it, which is interesting because I always look for that element within Johnnie Walker, even if it's just gentle.
No, absolutely. It's
But you're right. It's vibrant. It's a beautiful 18-year-old expression. I think that, have they ever done just like a blended malt 18-year-old or no? That's okay.
I think,
Because I think just to finish what I was thinking, I think the grain element is what's kind of maybe holding this back for me a little bit. That's my only complaint. I think it's nice. I'm just not entirely sure is where I would want it to be. But sorry, go on. What were you going to say?
I was going to say it's just quaffable whiskey, right? I don't think there's an awful lot to criticize about it given the price, even the ABV.
Where are you at on that one?
It's 40.
40, flat 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say, actually, for the ABV, it's very nice. And yeah, exactly. Very quaffable, very easy going.
Yeah, everything here today other than the Celebration blend and the green label is 40.
Okay. Interesting. Should we move on to the celebration?
Stevie, this is yours. You going to crack it for us?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Not so much of a pop, more of a crack, but there we go.
A twist and a snap. I picked this up from the Princess Street shop, actually.
Well, thank you for saving it for us, mate.
That's all right. Well, I did. It was just, yeah. Here, pass it around in. You know what? I don't know much about it, to be honest. I didn't have much room in my bag, and actually the reason I bought it is because it fit perfectly in the little slot I had in my bag.
Well, look at that.
Square.
Over 200 years later, and he's still fucking doing his job.
It's a bit higher, 51%. £50, and I was told actually in the shop, I said, I want
So you say 51%?
Believe so, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lovely.
It comes in a nice box. And I got told in the shop that you'd only be able to buy this in the shop. It wasn't until I got home that you can buy it on Amazon. So there you go.
You can get everything on fucking Amazon now,
exactly,
can't you?
Exactly. Yeah. Interestingly, actually, while we were there, though, something a bit more interesting is you filled up a bottle for yourself, a hand fill that they do there, right?
I did, yeah. I think they're very good value for money. So they have, I don't know what they're going to do next because I think they're coming to the end of it now, the kind of first
You've
series.
done seasons, haven't you? So
there are 4 seasons, 4 different blends, all 16-year-old, 48%, and they were, I think, £80, and you get a discount if you've done a tour.
Cool.
So I think a 16-year-old Johnnie Walker at 48%, for less than 80 quid, assuming you've done a tour, is pretty good value to me.
I'd agree with that, absolutely.
Especially considering you can only get them at the visitor centre and, the experience of filling your own bottle as well, right? It's something that
and your
name in a book.
That, 100%. Yeah.
And not just your own bottle, you get your own personalised label. They run through a machine. They print off there, then and there.
It's a good point. Yeah, you're applying all the labels yourself, writing your name in the book.
Yeah.
Getting Stevie to film you. And
a nice little reel for you. But mainly why I was attracted to this is the percentage, right?
Yeah.
And also,
it sits so well at that 51%.
Not even had it.
Beautifully.
But I love the label. I love that font. I love the everything about it.
Do you want to pop the lid on there, lad?
Yeah.
I'm just noticing it's just the angels of our studio are getting their hands on it. Exactly. No, yeah, you're right. And we talk about it staying consistent, and it still is very clearly a Johnnie Walker, but I love the older school style of lettering or font on that. Sorry, John Walker and Sons. That gives you vibes of that Grocers in Kilmarnock. You can see the sign above the door already.
That's exactly what this was supposed to do, right? It was supposed to be their kind of modern interpretation of what John would have been bottling for people 200 years ago.
For sure. And this is it, he wouldn't have been watering it down to 40 fucking %, right? It just wouldn't have happened. It would have been a much more ready to rock, cask strength sort of vibe. I think that it's great that they have obviously sort of tamed it, watered it down a little bit. I think it sits so well in the glass.
Very sweet though, compared to the 18 in the blue that we've just had.
And still only very gentle hints of smoke.
Yeah, I'm not getting much smoke.
Not a lot, no.
Just the softest touches, like barely at all. I mean, the 18 was seldom there at all. The blue label a little bit, but yeah, this one I'd say at 51%, you'd think that maybe you'd get that bit more of it. So probably very little in it altogether.
I'm really in two minds about this as a whiskey because I had a bottle of it when it first came out and split it with some people who were kind of just interested in what it was going to be. And, you know, a cask strength there or thereabouts whiskey for 50 quid. There's not a huge amount out there at that ABV at that price point, right?
Definitely.
So there's something positive to be said about that. The box as well, super cool. It's down here, opens up really nicely.
It is beautiful.
With this kind of, you know, view of Princess Street, is it?
It looks like it, yep.
You hope so, otherwise
I
it's
think
a bit
so.
odd.
And quite a bit of history inside it as well. So, you know, packaging and everything for the price point, you know, right up
They go
there.
all out.
I don't think it tastes very good.
It's a bit one-dimensional. That's what I would say about it. I think it sits very nicely at the strength. I think that kind of like you said about the 18, it's kind of quaffable, but it's just a bit more one-dimensional to me. It's kind of quite basic, sweet,
I don't think
sugary, you know.
I don't think it is very quaffable.
No, really, that's interesting. You don't enjoy it that much.
I could sit here and happily drink that.
I find it a little bit astringent. There is a kind of as the liquid sits on your tongue, you get that it's so viscous it kind of thins itself out in a not particularly pleasant way.
Okay.
I don't know how well I've described that. It's almost like the alcohol is evaporating off of your tongue.
I know what you mean now that you've said that. Yeah.
It's so thick it goes thin.
Well, it's not.
I know what
that's the
you
thing,
mean
it's-
when you say it's
I know.
it's almost like it's evaporating off of your tongue. It's in your mouth and it's kind of disappearing,
Yeah.
before you
A bit
swallow
like candy
it.
floss.
And I don't find. I think
Yes.
yes, that's a very good way to describe it.
It's exactly that. I was trying to put my finger on what sort of sweetness this is. It is an artificial sweetness, and it's exactly like that. And candy floss, you put it in your mouth and it
Gone.
shrinks and it goes.
Yeah.
So I would say candy floss is a fantastic tasting note.
And I don't think the
Sorry,
alcohol's
John.
massively well. I don't think the alcohol's massively well integrated.
I would disagree. I think the alcohol is reasonably well integrated. I think it's just very one-dimensional. I think it's just very sweet. You know, I could sit here and try and come up with a bunch of different ways to describe the sweetness, but I think you've hit the nail on the head, Stevie. It's candy flossy, and I don't think there's much else to it. There's not really any smoke going on.
No.
There's nothing.
There's a
of
bit of white pepper
substance
there.
or backbone to me.
We've talked in other episodes about the quality of the wood.
Yes.
Right. I get a fair hit of wood here, but I'm not getting that quality wood feel.
Right.
I'm getting a kind of cheap wood feel.
That's a shame. It is a shame because, you know, putting out that higher strength, you know, celebration of what was, you would want it to maybe hit the mark a bit more. I know you're not enjoying it. You know, I'm a bit more on the fence with it, but it's not what I wanted it to be. It's not that.
But for
That's
50
cool.
quid,
That's
you know what I
that's
mean?
the thing, right?
if
This is
you were
not.
paying 100 quid, 150 quid, and you got this, then yeah, I'd be like, oh, okay. But
Yeah.
the fact that you're paying that, yeah. But again, like if you're going to, you know, hop back and pay homage to a bottle of liquid, you know,
Yeah.
you would hope that it would be that. Then again, the fuck do we know? Someone far more knowledgeable has blended this for
Yeah.
the market. You know,
I think
and
what
don't-
they've done though is they've blended it in mind for the people attending the Princess Street shop.
Right.
And I think that, don't get me wrong, a lot of whiskey geeks will visit the Princess Street shop, but I think that it will equally be the first stop along your whiskey journey.
So what you're saying is people that visit the shop
sorry, don't
are
put
very
words in my fucking mouth now,
are
okay?
very one-dimensional people.
Oh, that's mean. I wouldn't say that at all, my guy. What I would say is it's potentially
It's a
early in their
tourist bottle,
journey,
right?
and as a result,
Yeah.
it's kind of
You're going to probably get a lot of Americans, a lot of Europeans.
it's inoffensive. Maybe
Yeah.
it's a bit offensive to Ian because it's not what you
No,
wanted.
I'm not going to bin it. I disagree with what you're saying. I think it's been blended to a price.
But that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
It's been blended to a price, but it's also been blended with a flavor in mind for
tourists.
an entry-level drinker, for people who aren't necessarily serious geeks. I think that people who visit the Princess Street shop and they go, oh, Johnnie Walker, it's so cool. Oh, this is what their whiskey used to taste like. Bang, that's me, right? And I think that, like us,
a novelty bottle, would you say?
a bit of a novelty bottle, a bit of an entry-level drinker's bottle, a bottle that somebody who maybe doesn't know much about whiskey, but
fair,
likes alcohol at a bit of a higher strength.
They've got walls
will
and
grab.
walls of whiskey, but this was kind of like the main pillars and they're stacked. So,
And that says it again, right? It's the focus of what they're trying to do there. And I understand that because it looks beautiful, but even just down to the fact that, it's a screw cap, they haven't invested huge amounts in it. They've invested it, as you say, to a price point. And that's what it is to me. It hits a very specific mark. And for me, it is disappointing. It's not what I would want. It's not what I imagine the old school style of, John Walker mixing his, from the Devon. It's not what it would have tasted like, I don't think. It would have been a lot rougher, a lot more rugged, would have probably been a bit smokier, Come on, he's up in Kilmarnock. He's got his hands on all sorts of great stuff. I don't think it would have tasted like Candy Flush. And yeah, look, I think that they probably have huge success with this. As you say, if it's one of the main attractions.
yeah, it was one of them. Yep, one of them. All right, well, sounds like we know how we all feel on that. Let's move to the
Gold Label
Gold
Reserve.
Label.
Hedges Gold Label. Doesn't that look like a cigarette box to you?
Does a bit, doesn't it?
Do you know what I mean? And that's the thing. What I mean, like they haven't subtle changes. Yes, it's an evolutionary, slow thing with design, but that still looks like something that I'd find in my grandparents' cupboard. It's old school,
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
which is what they want to play on, right?
Oh.
I don't think I've had the gold before, actually.
It's been many moons since I've had the kind of
Just a splash, mates. Don't waste it. Thank you,
current
mate.
iteration. Oh, sorry.
Any of these natural colour, by the way?
No.
None of them. Not even the blue.
No.
Okay. No.
Oh, God, no.
No.
God, no.
No.
No, they will have a color chart up and they will add to the exact. Oh no, I can almost guarantee that, right? They will have an exact color and I would imagine that they've probably done a huge amount of research into what color is most appealing to the eye off the shelves.
Right, for sure.
I can't.
Except for when it's in
What's the most whiskey color?
Do you know what I
out
mean?
there?
I can
Yeah,
imagine
exactly.
them
most
spending
generic colour.
millions of pounds to figure out exactly what
doing
shade.
group-
Yeah,
it
they've
is
got a
to
fucking
be.
Pantene chart out there
100%,
somewhere.
100%. Yeah, definitely.
That's the shampoo, isn't it? Pantone?
Pantene.
Pantene is Pantone. Oh, it's Pantone. That's the shampoo.
Pantone colors, yeah.
Yeah.
No, you were right. So Gold Label Reserve. Okay, so another non-age statement, another 40%er. And now we're starting to get a bit of peat.
A bit of smoke on that, right? On the palate too. Still,
And
Heaps of
it's definite
sweetness.
Kalila, right?
Yeah.
That is
You reckon?
Kalila singing from the hilltops.
Yep.
Beautiful.
More than anything else, actually.
briny.
Even on the palate, yeah, it's been. This is the sort of thing that I don't know if you've been like weddings where they've got like an open bar or whatever. I often see like a bottle of. There's always a Johnnie Walker, and it seems to be the Gold Label.
Right.
I don't know if that's sort of standard or if that just is by chance of the few open bar weddings that I've been to. I see it. But I
mean, if
never
you're gonna
remember what
put
it tastes like because I'm partying at a wedding. I was just like, yeah, give me 2 of them.
To be fair, if you're going to have a wedding, you're probably going to go a little bit up the ranks, aren't you? From the black and the cream.
For sure.
What's interesting is that Kalila is not actually mentioned on the back.
What is mentioned?
So they're just selecting names here. This is not
The recipe.
This is not the recipe, right? But they mentioned Clynelish, Blair Athol.
Clynelish.
Yeah.
They're putting Clynelish in this, are they?
Yeah, of course, man.
I'm surprised. I thought Clynelish would have been higher end ones, to be honest. I thought they would have saved it more. That's interesting. Sorry, go on.
Blair Athol.
Yeah.
Cardew.
Yeah.
And Cameron Bridge.
Okay, yeah, for sure. So Cameron Bridge obviously took over. We were talking a minute ago about Port Dundas being the grain distillery. And that's in the Ghost and Rare. Have they got a port? No?
There is a Port Dundas,
yeah. Sorry, yeah, okay. And it's a great distillery that's obviously now closed. Cameron Bridge kind of took over from Port Dundas and is, by and large, I don't want to sort of say the wrong thing here, so apologies anyone from Diageo listening if I have got this completely wrong, but it's kind of a replica of the same style of malt. They actually shut down Port Dundas to focus on Cameron Bridge. I think that was in the early 2000s, late 2000s.
Yeah.
2009,
something like that.
2010 maybe? I can't remember.
Cameron Bridge was older than Port Dundas, though, because Port Dundas was actually relatively new distillery, I think.
I'm not going to comment on that because I don't know off the top of my head, but I can say with some confidence that they did shut Port Dundas to focus on Cameron Bridge at least, probably at a point in time where whiskey was not flying off the shelves and they needed to be a little bit more conscious as to their spending and their outputs and all of that sort of stuff.
I think they've just consolidated over the years because Diageo have shut a lot of grain distilleries. They've shut Port Dundas, they've shut Cambus, they've shut Castbridge.
Yeah.
And so they've got Cameron Bridge, and then is North British theirs as well, or is that someone else's?
North British is North British. It's North British Distillers, isn't it?
Is it? So
as far as I'm aware, so I could be completely
no idea.
I think so. Maybe I'm completely wrong on that. Shit, that's embarrassing. I don't know that off the top of my head, you know. But yeah, no, I see. I know what you mean consolidating it all together. But yeah, to me, that's I'm sorry, that's Kalila.
Yeah,
that is Kalila. If I'm wrong, please, like somebody tell me. I'd love to be proven wrong on that because it smells just like Kalila.
No, and then there's a bunch of sweetness and vanillins from the grain. You could tell me that is Cameron Bridge and Kalila mashed together without anything else, and I'd say yeah, fine, go on.
Although now that you said Clynelish, I am that kind of waxy element to it, kind of.
Yeah. You know, are you sure that's not just a slightly?
I think that's just placebo. You telling me.
Could be a bit placebo.
Yeah, almost definitely, because I was surprised that it was Clynelish, right? But yeah.
You know, the color obviously I think anchors the mind a little bit as well, but it does taste a little bit like there's some kind of lightly seasoned sherry casks that have gone into the mix here as well.
Nah, that's just the E150, mate.
I don't know. The
say,
Cardew is definitely something that I notice, and I think what this has versus, you know, for example, the celebratory blend is a little bit more of a backbone with regards to some wood spices that I don't know. You tell me, and I feel are better integrated, a little bit more part of the dram as a whole.
You're right there, mate. You got a splinter.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, Johnnie Walker splinter.
Yeah, exactly. Bit cask.
But yeah, I feel like the Cardew is a key component here. It's yummy.
It's
thin.
Yeah,
it's thin.
It's thin.
It is thin.
It's fine.
I'm quite enjoying it. I think it is thin.
Listen,
there is more flavour
horrible.
there. I think that, like I say, that wood spice carries it through a bit more. The smoke element adds a little bit more intricacy.
We do have to remember we're going down as well.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, okay.
You know,
fine. If maybe what we need to do, do we all still have another glass, Stevie?
Yeah.
Clear that one out. Let's get the green label poured because the green label is at most of the same price, if not cheaper.
Cool.
And if you all don't like the green label more than this, then I don't know. I'll get off my chair and fucking leave and you won't see me again.
Do you promise?
Fuck off.
I'm only joking. So it's the Green Island that is the travel exclusive.
Yeah.
I think that is still one that I haven't tried, you know.
I don't think I've tried that either.
Yeah.
So this is very specific. far more so than any other Johnnie Walker.
Go on.
So it's it says here, a rich and vibrant blend of only single malt whiskey. Okay, interesting. The wording is now changed.
Go on.
So it now says including. It used to just say, I think, including is a new
I'm surprised. Sorry. It says on the bottle,
Yep.
a rich and vibrant blend
Of only single malt whiskey.
That is a SWA no. You can't put single malt whiskey on a blended malt whiskey. I'm surprised that they've got away with
Single
that.
malt in bold as well.
Oh, Diageo, no. I'm not having that, man. I tell you what, we've had some cheeky little fuckers from the industry dobbing us into the SWA. If I didn't have so much love and respect for Diageo and Johnnie Walker, I might do the fucking same. That is a big no-no. It's probably only because they pay a lot of the SWA's salary that they haven't been picked up on that. Do you know what I mean? You cannot put single malt Scotch whiskey on a blended malt whiskey. I know that it's a key, like they are all single malts and they together, but it's a blended malt Scotch.
Yeah. So it says, Johnnie Walker Green Label, blended malt Scotch whiskey, a rich and vibrant blend of only single malt whiskey. And as I said, this is the word that I think has now changed in recent years.
Go on.
That now says including Talisker, Linkwood, Cragganmore, and Kalila. I'm pretty sure when they relaunched this, the word including was not there, and it was only those 4 distilleries.
So sorry, it's been relaunched more recently for only those 4 distilleries? Is that what you're saying? Sorry?
When Green Label first came out, it was pure malt.
Yeah.
Then it became Green Label.
Yeah.
Then it was discontinued just before I started drinking whiskey. I think probably about kind of 2010-ish.
Okay.
The stock wasn't there, blah, blah, blah. And then it was brought back, I think, 2015, 2016, something like that, after a 5 or 6 year gap.
Right, yeah, that sounds about right. Kind of
With this
happened.
current style. And I'm pretty sure when it was relaunched then, they said, we're just using Talisker, Linkwood, Cragganmore, and Kalila.
Which are some pretty big names to
Yeah.
only be using.
And now it says including, which obviously gives them the option of why
Whatever the fuck they want in. Sorry,
Yeah.
I see what you mean. Okay, cool.
Can I have a
I'm
dram,
with
please?
you.
No, it's mine.
That's gas. Interesting. Okay, but again, yeah, Talisker. Putting Talisker into these blends
Really?
is something that I wouldn't think of, knowing Talisker to be the behemoth that it is.
43% as well, if I haven't said that already.
I'm surprised. I would have thought things like Talisker, things like Clynelish would have been reserved for your blue labels, for your higher end, because this is, what are we saying, £45?
If that,
I think, yeah,
off
I'll
that,
check
yeah.
exactly what I paid for it because it was delivered today.
often on offer for less.
Well, don't, because you'll tell me I've overpaid, as I always fucking do. We'll come to the black label, which
if
was
you got it
included
from,
in our auction bottles,
if
and you
got
all
it from
slated me on that
bloody
one.
Amazon, you probably got a bargain, right? So
I'm trying to find this bloody thing now. There we go. Where is it? What did I pay?
you get,
£46.94.
right.
Yeah.
As you move down the ranks,
How much you pay for the gold?
Bloody hell, man. Bloody hell.
It was the same order.
Yeah, I know. What are you joking? I paid £40.99.
Okay, so actually you paid a bit more for the green than the gold. Okay. Interesting.
Right. Okay. So is this the only blended malt?
It's the only blended malt in the lineup. It's the only one of the
And
core.
they've never
that's
had a blended malt age statement past 15.
not as far as I know.
Okay.
Maybe some special release
One-offs or
somewhere,
whatever.
right?
Yeah. But no core range. Okay. That's interesting.
I'm getting palate fatigue here now.
The feet have been kicked up. Stevie's disinterested. Pour me another one. You're taking too long.
Come on.
I can't say
Stop
anything.
bickering, for fuck's sake.
It tastes like Johnnie Walker, all right? Tastes like fucking Johnnie Walker.
It is. Now we're the fifth one down?
Yeah.
Fourth
Quite a
one?
lot of drams today. You can, if nothing else, you can tell it's a bit thicker.
Yes, yeah, I agree with that.
Sorry, we still 40% here?
No, 43.
43, yeah, okay. Sorry, so this is the 43. The celebratory cask is 51, and everything else is 40. Okay.
Yeah. I think to me, this is blended better than the gold.
Yes, agreed, 100%. And I tell you what, you can taste some serious quality in here. I know you've just told me Talisker.
The gold doesn't have an age statement on there, does it?
No.
Used to.
You know,
And this is it.
Yeah.
This is it. I think the caliber of stocks, but also the age statement will make a big difference. Equally, the fact that there isn't any grain in there. Where, look, you know, I've got huge love for Diageo, whether it be in malt or grain. They've got some fantastic distilleries. But
this is a blended malt as well, the 15, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So there's no grain in it.
For sure,
Sorry, this is what I'm coming on to is like when you're looking, first of all, at an age statement, minimum 15-year-old malts, not single malts because it's blended.
Yeah,
but anyway.
malts.
Yeah, I think that, you know, to have a 15-year-old, even a 20, 25, 30-year-old grain in there would bring that element of youth, of harshness maybe to it.
Yeah.
And the reason being is obviously when you're looking at these sorts of blends, they're not using the most high quality casks, certainly not for their grains, right? You are talking millions of liters of alcohol coming out of these grain distilleries. They need to just get wood, you know, got wood, but they need to just fill it up into casks. And so they cannot be that selective. And I think that that's where, you know, I think I said on the 18 and on the celebratory cask, it has that element of kind of, you know, grain that's not quite balanced with the malt maybe.
Yep.
But this is much higher quality, like you say, thicker. It's a bit more robust, I would say.
Yep. I think given this, they're so similar in price and the green can often be found for less than the gold. I think it goes on offer more than the gold.
Right. I wonder why that is.
Don't know. I just kind of think why with the gold, right? You've got two products that are ultimately sharing a similar-ish smoky profile for a very similar price point. One of them is noticeably higher quality than the other.
Smoke in this is so much more balanced, though. It is. It's that salty, briny, you know, it's like a bit of a smokehouse. It's there's a little bit of tar in there. It's wonderful. And then you've got that sweetness that brings it all right back down.
Look, I mean, you know, if I was any good at this, I'm sure I would have been employed at Diageo. But what I would do, the XR21.
Hold on, guys. Everyone from Diageo, listen up. What would you do, Ian?
Look, you got the blue label here, right?
Go on.
No one knows about the XR21. Like,
correct.
We know about it, but it's not marketed, it's not pushed. No one ever buys it.
You never see it.
Never see it.
Yeah.
Even in specialist shops, a lot of the time they don't have it.
And how much is that? 250?
No, it's not too bad. It's about 130, 100-ish.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of the King Daughters.
The King George is like 400 quid.
Okay, right. That's what I'm thinking. Go on.
Make this a 21-year-old age statement and bin off the XR.
Or just, you know,
Or consolidate them into one. But this, I think, the XR is in a different shaped bottle.
Yes.
It's in a kind of decanter style thing. This, I think...
I like that.
Yeah, but this embodies the Johnnie Walker brand more.
Yeah,
right?
but I think that if you're going to have a 21-year-old statement and pay a bit more for it, I quite like the fact that it's in a slightly different bottle. I know what you mean, and I think that a lot of people would probably agree with you. It is 100% embodying the brand.
Yeah.
I just think, But anyway, continue, sorry.
Make this the 21.
Okay.
Put the 18 age statement back on the platinum label and kind of lift that back up to about the price point where this is.
Okay.
Make the gold label higher quality and more differentiated from the 15.
Okay.
You've got two things that playing in the same... You've got two products of your own fighting with one another.
But that's what they want.
Why?
Well, we bought them both fucking here today, haven't we? So we're the suckers, aren't we? You know what I mean? Like,
but we've done it for a reason.
I know. Point taken. But the point stands. A lot of people will probably try one, try the other.
Look,
and
I'm
they
sure
go,
you're right.
I like this one. You know.
I don't think they release specific sales figures, but I hear the gold label sells more than the green label, which is fucking nuts. Don't do that. If you're out here just buying Johnnie Walker,
why they put it on offer so often. because it's not being sold as well.
Yeah.
Right? But why is that? Probably because they're mis-selling it as a single malt. But there we go. All right. And then what do you think then when you get down to black, double black, red? Do you think just leave that?
This
You're
one, just
happy
leave
with
that,
them
yeah,
where they
that's
are?
fine, yeah, leave that.
Okay. So you're not completely ripping them to part. You just
No,
think there's some
I-
consolidation, some reworking to do to make it so that they have jumps and purposeful steps in between their releases,
Yeah, you-
as opposed to just kind of very minor differences, as you say. I personally feel that this blended malt is, as you say, head and shoulders above the gold. I think there's an awful lot more to offer. I think that for a whiskey enthusiast, certainly, who wants to drink it neat, this is significantly better.
Green label, I always think is fantastic. Price to value is amazing, even at £45, which is about the most you can spend on it.
46, whatever.
Well done.
Go on, twit that up.
How many other 15-year-old single malts or even blended malts can you get for £46? Not a lot. A lot of 12-year-olds are that price or more expensive.
Yeah, definitely.
Bunch of no age statement whiskey that's clearly not very old that's more expensive than that. A lot of inaugural releases from distilleries that are 3-year-old
Most
whiskey
is more expensive
than that.
Yeah.
Double,
And this is so fucking solid for £46.
Yeah, no, I agree. This is, I have to say, Blue Label is Blue Label. This is winning the day otherwise for me so far. It really is. It's been a long time since I've tried this. I don't really remember.
Well, I think when you look at the hard, cold economics of it as well.
Yeah.
And you look at the RRP of Blue Label at £175 a bottle.
I think it differs. You can get it as low as about 130, and then as much as some shops 200 plus, which is fucking bastards.
I do like Blue Label, but if I want a Johnnie Walker kick, I'm not going to. I'd rather
it's
have
a special occasion whiskey, and it's almost like hey guys, I brought some Blue Label, right? It doesn't necessarily. No, I don't think the price is. It's not very, no, it doesn't make sense. You're absolutely right. I would 100% jump onto a green label bottle again.
Yeah.
Whereas the blue label is special occasions. Why not? I actually picked that up from auction. That blue label I actually paid £70 for. So I'm very happy with that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I have one.
RRP is insane.
Exactly the same and probably exactly the same box. I got a 43% one though because I'm clever.
Yeah, well done.
I only paid about $5 or more for it.
Yeah. And that's the sort of thing you want. Exactly. All right, fair enough. Let's do, should we dual wield with the black and double black?
Yeah.
I want to, I've never done them side by side before.
I have been searching for a Johnnie Walker bottle. I say searching, I find it. I just don't want to pay what people are bidding on it for.
Which one's that?
Well, I'm a big movie buff, right?
Oh,
The Blade Runner movies.
Yes.
Yeah, the Blade Runner bottle.
Yes. Silly money.
£400 now they're going
It's
for.
such silly money, dude.
£400.
Uh-huh.
And I believe when they retailed, I think they were like 120 quid, not even.
Right.
Ian, do you know what they retail at?
I was going to say about 80.
Yeah, I thought
Probably
it was less than
cheaper.
100. Yeah, but yeah, go on.
What's the fuss?
Yeah.
Because it's a liquid. Sorry, is it double black or is it just black in that Blade Runner bottle?
I have no
well.
idea.
It's black. I believe it's a black, but a slightly higher ABV than normal.
Right, okay. So it's, Oh, yeah, sorry, I'll get rid of these.
Come on.
So, yeah, anyone that's got a bottle knocking around and they want to sell it.
Doesn't want to make auction money on it.
Yeah, doesn't want to, I will take it off your hands.
And in fairness, I know for a fact you have been talking about this for years, Stevie. It will be looked after so carefully. It will be a prized part of Stevie's collection. Someone please do get in contact. So
Do
you
the man
shut the
a
fuck up
favour.
about this.
I think I remember telling you, like, I really want that bottle, and you were like,
this is yours. This is the crack.
you were like,
Didn't realise it was to crack.
This is
Why?
my. Do you see this, mate?
I did see that. I've been looking at that all along. And that's the beautiful thing, as you were saying about the Princess Street experience. And there you go. The wonderful thing about Johnnie Walkers now is you can pick up these things and put your own mark on it, whether it's a bottle engraving, whether it's a special label with your name or whatever on it. And I think that that's a wonderful touch. Does it make a difference? Well, I think it makes the whole experience more memorable. It means that when you open the bottle, it has that little bit more special place in your heart, right? So, the liquor's the same, but I think that that's something that they do that's really, really lovely for collectors and enthusiasts like us.
Sorry, the double black is just what you poured, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will give a little shout out. That wasn't actually Johnnie Walker that did that up at the experience. That was the Whiskey World that did that.
Fair enough. Shout out the Whiskey World then.
And yeah, my most popular post on Instagram was a 5-minute photo I did with this. 41,000 likes.
Wow. Well done, mate. Okay, now you've got a few friends. 41,000 likes. Now we're getting into the smoky elements of Johnnie Walker nicely.
This, though, smells like, interestingly, it's got some kind of young lager in it, perhaps to kind of complement the Kalila.
The double. Yeah. It's way smokier, especially than the black. Sorry, don't know where I was, but did you mention what the difference is between the black and the double black yet? Or
so the black's 12-year-old. Double black is no age statement.
Okay.
Both 40%.
Right.
Double black normally is a bit more expensive. Double black probably about 30 to 35 pounds.
Okay.
Black is 20 to 25.
Okay.
Unless you buy an auction like me. Watch our auction episode there, where they rip into me as to how much I paid for this.
Yeah, well, deservedly.
It's only 30 quid. Like, it was one of the only bottles going for 30 quid or less. So, anyway.
I love Black Label.
So do I. And I think it's Charles MacLean that says it's one of the best whiskies going. Anyone who doesn't know, Charles MacLean is a very well-renowned whiskey writer. No
matter where you go in the world on holiday, if you walk into any bar,
you can get a Johnnie Walker Black. Can you not? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I agree with what you're saying. Absolutely, Ian. This has got to have some lager in it.
Yeah. I mean,
heat is just turned up a whole different level, whereas the other, even the Black Label, it's peaty, and it's more peaty than the other bits, but it's that sweet, gentle, Kalila smoke, whereas this is a richer, earthier peat.
Yeah. And I think it overcomes the 40% with that as well. It's got a richer, thicker mouthfeel.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, the 12... obviously produced to a price point, it's half or less than almost any other 12-year-old on the market, other than other blends, but even then undercuts most other blends with an age statement. Yeah. And it's obviously changed through the years if you go and buy an older one from auction, but it remains on a kind of day-to-day basis, very consistent, very fairly priced. Goes well in cocktails. Yeah. Goes well over ice. I sank a small bottle of it on holiday in the summer. Right. I think probably most of us have either, if not taken a bottle on holiday, as you said, it's been at the hotel bar.
Yeah. We drink it with Coke, weren't you, or something, weren't you?
Yeah, probably had some with Coke at one point. Yeah. But the double black's good.
I think they're both really good. And going back to what you just said there, exactly that. I think that they work so well by themselves, but equally, pop it in a cocktail. If you're an absolute fiend like Ian with his Diet Cokes, then crack away with a whiskey Coke.
Smoky cokey.
I can't stand the taste of Coca-Cola, but I think, I do get that. Rum and Coke is so popular.
Stick it in your milkshake, mate.
I tell you what, whiskey in a good milkshake goes down a treat. And exactly, a sweet... Why are you looking at me like that? You're drinking Coke, not even Coca-Cola, Diet Coke.
He's also done a whole bag
of 12. A whole bag of 12.
By the way, I bought these. This is his rider now, by the way,
Is it?
12 bites.
That's so funny. I love it.
Turn up.
Make sure I've got 12 bites and a Diet Coke in my dressing room.
If they're not, he's not coming.
Pretty much, yeah.
Fair play, man. Well, we can.
But that's interesting you say that, Jake, as well, is because... a huge part of their marketing is bartenders and bars and cocktails with Johnnie Walker. You will see it all the time.
And this is it. It's to really such a price point here with the black and even the double black, like you say, Ian. I think that actually, some people, and myself included, I originally, seeing the double black, I was like, why the fuck do you need the both of them? Almost like we've done with some of these, like you say, certain consolidation. I think there is absolute need for the black and the double black. And if I had a bar, I would have both of them up there because they both have a completely different use, right? They can both be utilized in different ways, whether it be neat whiskey, someone's looking for that slightly richer, thicker, earthier peat, and like you say, almost that just sort of fuller, more oily coating mouthfeel, or, you know, in a cocktail, you know, these two base elements are quite, in my opinion, different, you know, and it's not a minor difference, you know. Yes, they are both of the same ilk. You can clearly tell they're both Johnnie Walkers. They're well-rounded. They are very quaffable, very nice. But I think that they both have their own place, and I think it's fantastic that Diageo and the team at Johnnie Walker had the thought to go into that. I think that a lot of brands would probably say, "Oh well, do we really need?" You know. I think that their creative side is spot on here anyway. You know, some of the other stuff I'd agree with you, Ian, but I think at this little area of their range, I think they are smashing it out of the park, actually. Really, really cool.
Right. Should we wrap it up and give our ratings?
Yeah, well, we don't have a red label, like we say, thank God. Don't have to finish off on a bad note. So yeah, let's give it a bit of a wrap up. Let's do some buys and don't buys. Let's start where we are at the minute with the black and the double black. So we're saying sort of 20, 25, and then 30, maybe 35 pounds on the double black, right?
Yep.
So let's start with the black label. Ian, where are you, sir?
It's a buy. I've bought several bottles of it.
Yeah.
We'll probably continue to. Great for holidays.
For sure.
Cocktails, newbies into whiskey. Definite buy.
Nice.
Yep. On you with that. It's a buy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Solid.
Well, I paid 30 quid for it, so, you know, I should have got a bottle and a half. I'm a bit of a twit, but no, look, I agree. It's an obvious
so
buy.
consistent, right?
It's so consistent. It's spot the fuck on, as you both have hit on. No matter where you are in the world, Johnnie Walker Black Label is there.
We'll
for
be
you.
there.
He's there for you day and night, in any bar, in any shop. He's looking out for you. And
I've been in the most remote places. I'm talking, you know, Africa.
Yeah.
And you go into some
Dude, I was
hut,
literally just thinking.
some hut, right? Some mud hut, and there's Johnnie Walker up on the optics. So
Definitely. Cool. All right. A definite buy from the standard black label. Moving on to the double black. About 30, maybe 35 pounds. Ian, where are you at, sir?
That's a buy as well, actually. I wasn't particularly familiar with double black, but yeah, stands on itself. Really interesting to try it side by side with the standard black as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, very solid. If you want a bit of extra smoke, I don't think it tastes younger or grainier than the 12. So yeah, it's a buy.
I would agree. Yeah, cool. All right. Stephen?
Don't buy from me.
It's a don't buy.
Yeah,
Why is it a don't buy?
Nothing wrong with it. Just, you know, 35 quid. Just like once you've had the 12, and there's no need for it for me. You know,
That's interesting.
I know what it tastes like.
I get it.
I'm hardly gonna reach for it again, unless the 12 isn't there, right?
That's really interesting.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say that this is a stronger buy for me. I don't want to go as far as saying an oosh, but it's really good. I think it's as a blended whiskey.
I'm not saying it's not good.
I think no, I know you're not, mate. I know you're not.
Okay.
But for me, I just think, yeah, as a blended whiskey, it's got some depth, it's got some character, and you know, £30, it's very high quality, really, really good caliber stock, I'd say. I love it. I'd say, yeah, very strong buy from me. Moving on to the green label, which I think is kind of one of the only ones here that hasn't been divisive in any way. Ian?
It's a very strong buy for me. It's bordering on an oosh.
Right. Yeah. What price does it have to be an oosh, or is price not relevant to you?
No, I think price is already oosh levels for what you're getting.
Okay.
It's very good.
Okay.
Like, it's the kind of, I think I'm just at the point in my journey where I've got so much other stuff on the shelf that I kind of just, I have one every so often, like once every 2 years, and that's enough.
Fair enough. No, I hear that. I hear that. Fair enough. Okay. Strong buying vibes.
Very strong buy.
No, I like that. Nice
What's
one,
the price
Scott.
point, sorry?
So I bought it 45-ish, give or take.
Oh,
it's
okay,
46 something on
Yeah.
Amazon right now.
I think it was on offer at Tesco for like 36 or 37 just last week or something.
Right. Yeah, it's a strong buy from me too. It's a solid 15-year-old go-to for that price. Like, it's got everything you kind of want for just that kind of, as you say earlier on, it's not easy going is the word, but you don't have to think about much. You know what you're getting. You can just pour a dram and enjoy and get some solid liquid in there. So yeah, strong buy from me.
Definitely. I have to say, for me, if I found it at 35 odd quid, I think it would probably be an oosh, you know. £45, strong buy. I completely agree. I think it's great caliber stock. I am furious that they've managed to get away with that labeling little thing there, but happy days. Good for them. No hate, all love. I think it's great whiskey. Strong buys. Moving on to the gold. I don't think I even have to ask, but Ian?
So don't buy from me.
No.
I just don't. Similar to Stevie and the Double Black, I just think it's a bit unnecessary in the lineup.
Yep, fair enough. Stevie, are we in agreement? Where are you at?
It's probably a don't buy as well. I mean, how many Johnnie Walkers do you want on the shelf? You know, they all are
I
quite.
don't know. We want 7.
You know, they're all fairly close, but not in flavor profiles, right? Like as you say, you can tell the distinctness between each of them, but the gold, as you say, I just think it's unnecessary. Really, it doesn't need to be there if you've got the green and you've got the 18. Really,
Yeah.
You know, so sorry, gold, but it's a no from me.
Yeah, no, completely agree with both of you. It's a don't buy. It's unnecessary. It's not that good. Comparing it to the green label, I don't know what the fuck they're up to. It's not that interesting. It's not bad, but it's not that good. So, yeah, I don't buy on the gold label then. That's the first one we've all completely agreed no. Moving on to the John Walker and Son celebratory blend. Obviously, you said it was supposed to be an exclusive to the Princes Street shop. Not quite. So you can buy it online if you want it. Ian.
I'm in two minds. From a taste perspective, it's a don't buy.
Okay.
I just find it so interesting in terms of the packaging, what they've tried to do with it, the fact that you're getting such a high ABV for a relatively low price point.
Yeah.
Almost kind of nicks a buy just on kind of ticking a lot of kind of boxes that not much else does at that price point. But at the end of the day, it just doesn't taste quite right for me. So it's a don't buy, but it's pretty close to the line.
Okay. Fair enough.
I enjoyed it.
Are you happy you bought it?
Yeah, I am.
So it's a buy?
Yeah, it's a buy, you
Okay.
know. And actually, I would buy it again as a gift for someone because I think it's a really nice little, you know, just a unique kind of, I don't want to say the word novelty, but, you know, it's cool. It's not Johnnie Walker. It is, sorry, but do you know what I mean? Getting something that has like a almost original label, close to the original recipe, but probably nowhere near.
Yeah.
Yeah, flavour. I really enjoyed it. It was sweet, but you don't like it, do you? No.
Yeah,
I like it.
I would agree with Ian, maybe not to the same extent. For me, it was just that little bit too one-dimensional.
Right.
However, what I agree with you on is I would absolutely buy it as a gift.
Yeah.
And what else I would say is I think that it would also serve very well for certain cocktails. So if I was buying a whiskey for somebody who didn't know much about whiskey, but maybe was keen to learn more, get involved, what you can do there is give them a bottle that not only tastes probably very nice for somebody who doesn't drink whiskey, but also has a huge amount of heritage, history, stories, all wrapped in. It's a beautiful box that it comes in. It's a beautiful display bottle. Maybe it's not going to be something that's going to change your life, but I think as a gift to somebody who's getting started, I think it's wonderful. So I'd buy it for somebody else. I wouldn't buy it for me.
So it's a don't buy.
It's a don't buy for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Moving on to the 18, Ian.
The price has obviously gone up a wee bit since I bought it.
Just a tad, eh?
At 60 odd quid that I paid for it only probably about 4 years ago now. I think it's a fairly strong buy. 80, less so. Maybe probably just wiggles in there.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it's just a buy for me on the £80 mark. Any more, if it goes up any more, then no. I think it's a really well integrated, delicate, soft liquid. It's 18 years old at least, right? In that blend. They've done a really good job. It's great, but and it will go up, right? But right now,
Just about a buy?
just a buy at 80, yeah.
Cool. For me, it's a don't buy. It didn't didn't wow me, didn't really do much for me. I think for 70, 80, certainly £90, you can get a lot cooler stuff. Certainly for me, I would probably be looking for something single cask or a bit higher strength, something a little bit more unique. For me, look, it's Johnnie Walker. I get that. It's an 18-year-old age statement that has to be respected. But for me, it's not where I'd put my money. It's a don't buy.
I think it depends what you're looking for, right, Jake? Because
Not that.
clearly not. But if you've got like a non-whiskey person and you're
completely.
like, here's my single cask strength Milton Duff or something, and they're like, what the fuck? What?
Yeah,
What?
no, of course.
And I've got a Johnnie Walker 18-year-old here. Like,
Yes. No, look, like I say, look, no disrespect to it. It has its place. But for me, it's not where I'd put my money at all.
no, I get it, mate. But I guess sometimes you also need stuff for guests and
Oh,
stuff as
definitely.
well.
Trying to convince.
He's really is.
I'm not
He's
trying to
happy with
convince
my
him.
decision there. I appreciate you bringing the bottle, mate. I really do. Thank you for sharing it.
No, seriously.
I would have, I'll tell you, Ian, I would have
It'd buy a miniature.
both of the blacks, the black, the double black, I'd have the green, and I'd have the blue. And if I was going to share something special, here you go, mate. Here's a serious Johnnie Walker.
Yeah.
I'd crack out the blue. And I know for a lot of people at home, that might seem like, fucking hell, Jay, that's quite an expensive bottle. And you said even yourself, it's not like amazing, but it just hits this mark from a almost like a...
Well, you paid 80
yeah.
for the blue, didn't you?
Well,
So-
but that's lucky. That was just me knowing how to buy the right whiskeys at the right prices. It's not something that you can get
happens.
for 80 quid. But yeah, and exactly that, Stevie. I would rather wait and hunt down those opportunities that seldom come up for something that I would just be that much more excited about.
Yeah, that's fair enough, mate.
Sorry, Ian. It's a
No,
dope.
you don't apologise to me.
So finally, the blue label, as we said at the beginning, arguably the kind of the height of whiskey for people who don't know much about whiskey. Certainly a bottle that has been at the forefront of the whiskey industry for many, many years now. It is solidified as a mark of quality the world over.
This is American men in suits doing business with a heavy tumbler.
Or as we say, Indian or these wedding. I want to see more of that in their advertising.
Oh, yeah,
If
absolutely.
50% of Blue Label is going out to Indian and Hindu weddings, I want to see that in their advertising. I think they are missing a trick there.
And that's the problem. Like, it's still being product placed like into stuff that fits that mold that I just said. Like, you watch Billions, and they're either drinking mixers or they're drinking Blue Label. They brought in a couple of other things in the last seasons. But the first 4 or 5 seasons, it was rich white American men in suits.
Labeled.
It was Blue Label mixers.
For sure. Yeah. No, look, 100%.
And that is still the view I think a lot of people have of it. It's people in high-rise offices,
Yes.
in fancy suits, doing deals over a thick tumbler of Blue Label with a big ice cube in it.
And that's why I say on the 18, you say, oh, something special. I would go for the Blue Label. because
Yeah, I
I
get it.
know if I showed the 18 Johnnie Walker's people, they go, ooh. But if I showed the Blue Label to somebody who doesn't do whiskey, they're, oh, fucking hell, mate. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Do you
I
mind?
get you.
Fuck, that's so special. I remember being in Africa and that being put on the table. And I tried it once before. I'd never bought a bottle. And I was like, am I allowed to pour my own? So yeah, it's on the table. Crack away. I felt like a fucking king. And that's what Blue Label does for me. So, but anyway, sorry, go on. Blue Label. A buy, a don't buy, a noosh. Where are we at?
If you get it on auction, and you especially get one of these 90s ones, and you're paying like what we did for it, sub 100,
Of course.
very, very, very strong buy. Maybe an oosh. If you're wandering into your local offie and you're getting a 2024 version at 200 quid, that's a don't buy.
Ooh, but that's an oosh for all the wrong reasons, isn't it? Yeah.
So I think it's very heavily price dependent. Go on auction, see what you can get, see if you can find an older one.
Agreed.
Obviously, if you want the much bigger, even heavier glass bottle with a lot of other weight at the bottom because you want to show off, you're probably going to be paying more for it and not necessarily getting better liquid.
Yeah.
But yeah, pick up these ones at auctions for 100 quid. You're laughing.
Yes. Fair enough. Cool. Stevie, Blue Label.
I've never bought one.
Would you buy one
I
now?
consider buying them when I see them, even in duty free, and I don't. So there's your answer, right?
So don't
I
buy.
think it's always just a little bit. It's expensive now, right? As you say, yeah, of course. Pick them at auction at that price, sure, absolutely.
For sure.
it's a don't buy, but the liquid is bloody yummy. You know,
I like that you're teetering though. You are teetering. You consider it consistently by the sounds of it.
Yeah,
It's something that's still in your mind.
As I say, I do consider it every time in duty free. You know,
Yeah,
you
when there's
see
a bit of
them
a
all the
deal.
time, but still I haven't. So it's obviously
It's got to be,
it's
got to be
a
true
don't,
to yourself, man. No, fair enough. I won't pressure you on that one. It's okay.
Like you say, with the 18, if you're paying 150, 200 pounds, there are many other bottles
Yeah.
that I really want, but I haven't bought. So why would I go for that?
Definitely.
You know?
No, I agree with you both. I think that what you've just raised there, particularly you, Ian, like, it's all very well and good to chase this idea of image or quality, but the reality of it is, certainly with the newer bottles, the quality, as with all whiskey, not calling out Johnnie Walker, specifically, but whiskey has dropped in quality as we've come into more recent years. Distilleries are working around the clock a lot of the times now. It's not going to be of the same caliber. For me, it is a buy. I buy it. I've bought it before. I'll buy it again. You're absolutely right, though. I think what's really important for everyone at home, if you haven't bought a Blue Label before and it's something that you aspire to, don't feel that you have to pay that 150, 180, 200 pound mark. There are deals that come up. Certainly don't buy it in an off license. You'll have your trousers pulled down, but in auction, special offers, and particularly, as you said, Ian, with these older bottles, you're getting something of a time gone by. It is really interesting to drink. And I think it's a wonderful whiskey. I think it has such a special place in my heart. As I say at the beginning, learning about the whiskey barons, John Walker and Alexander Walker having such a key, like the fact that this stamp is still so permanently etched onto the whiskey industry over 200 years later speaks volumes as to this brand. It's a phenomenal brand. It's really, really interesting liquid. And for me, you've got to buy the Blue Label at least once in your life. It's a big buy. I appreciate it's not cheap, but treat yourself at least once in life. See what it's like and let us know what you think. Anyway, guys, so look, Johnnie Walker for the afternoon. I know you mean about palate fatigue. I'm a little bit tired now after those 7 drams, but it was a great exploration. Thank you so much for joining me, as always, gents. Guys at home and girls at home, wonderful people at home, our beautiful whiskey community, thank you for joining us, as always. Please make sure you like this so that we can continue to do more, because if you don't like it, we don't know that you like it, and then we're left here feeling sorry for ourselves. Equally, drop a comment. If you think that the red label is something that should have been included and we've missed it, grand, pop it in there. Equally, if you've tried some of those, what did you say, 20+ thousand pound bottles?
Yep.
I want to hear about that. I want to try it. If you've got one, bring it in. We'll crack it open together. But in the meantime, guys, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you've learned a little bit. I hope you've enjoyed. To Johnnie Walker.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Sláinte mhath.